Have you ever been mocked by a video game, made fun of by the game that you're playing? Yeah, easy mode is a decent way for newer games to get into the experience of a game, but sometimes the developers, they can't help but poke fun at you for taking the easy route. Welcome to Chaos Gaming, everybody. Today, we are going to be looking at 10 games that mocked you. You heard me right. They laughed at you for playing on easy mode. Let me know which of these you played and which ones you got laughed at. Drop a like. Make sure you have your notifications fully turned on. Let's start things off with Ninja Gaiden Black. Now, Ninja Gaiden 2004 was a fantastic game. It helped solidify the modern hack and slash formula. However, it was also really hard. And if you played it even a little bit, you already knew that. When it came time to re-release the game as Ninja Gaiden Black, the devs, well, they decided to have a little fun with the people who thought the original game was too hard. In the re-release, there's a hidden 5th difficulty setting that can only be unlocked by dying 3 times in the first level of the game. Now, this extra easy mode is called Ninja Dog, and it requires you to abandon the way of the ninja before you start the campaign. When playing on Ninja Dog mode, the game plays out normally, but it's way easier, and Ryu will have a big purple ribbon on his arm. Plus, the side characters will constantly make fun of him for it. Now, Ninja Gaiden is a really tough game, but I don't think I ever played it in Ninja Dog mode. Moving right along, let's go to Monkey Island 2. Now, the Monkey Island games used to be some of the best adventure games on the market. Maybe one day we'll get a re-release of these gems, but if we do, they're probably going to have to edit the difficulty settings. Monkey Island 2 is primarily a puzzle game, and it had some pretty tough parts, although it was fun. You really had to use your brain to make it through the story, but clearly the developers didn't think very much about people who would be reviewing their game. Now, it's no secret that a lot of gamers don't like gaming journalists, due to their apparent lack of video game knowledge. But even back in the 90s, this held true. If you look at the box for Monkey Island 2, the package says the game has 2 difficulty settings. There is a normal mode for video game reviewers and a hard mode for everybody else. Now keep in mind that this game came out in 1991. They were way ahead of the curve with this one. Could you imagine if a game came out today with that description? I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but you'd have some salty video game journalists out there. Next up, Civilization. Now, it's a game that's meant to be difficult. I mean, you're managing giant armies and tons of resources in an attempt to take over the entire world or defend it, depending on who's sitting at the keyboard. In the original Civilization game, there was a handful of difficulty settings for the campaign. The devs, well, they were playing the long game with this burn. If you play through the entire game mode on easy, you will be given the rank of Warren G. Harding. Now, Civilization would do kind of a cool thing if you compare it to various world leaders, depending on your performance throughout the battle. So, if you played the whole game on easy mode, you get Warren G. Harding rank no matter what. For those of you that don't understand why this is a burn, Warren G. Harding was widely regarded as the worst president in the U.S. history. He didn't do anything. Nobody liked him. And almost every member of his cabinet got outed for various controversies. He's literally the last person you would want to be compared to, but if you play through the game on easy mode, that's who the game sees you as. Okay. I see you there. Next up, Metal Gear Solid 5. Depending on who you ask, Metal Gear Solid was either really amazing or it was really bad. But that's not what this video is about. Regardless of how you feel about the game, it makes fun of you if you suck at it. The MGS series is all about stealth, forward planning, as one mistake can often be the death of you. Well, in MGS 5, if you die too many times on a certain mission, you'll respawn with a big stupid chicken hat on your head. Yep, a chicken hat. Now, luckily for you, the chicken makes you harder to spot for some reason, I don't know why, so it will help you get through the level, but you also have to deal with the embarrassment of playing Metal Gear Solid with a big chicken on your head because you were that terrible at the game. Thanks a lot, Kojima. At number 6, Postal II. Now this is weird, because while Postal 2's easy mode was meant to make the game stupidly easy, it kind of did the opposite at the same time. As you probably know, Postal 2 is an ultra-violent, super offensive FPS game from 2003 that you're going around town, you complete various tasks while also doing whatever you want to the civilians you come across. Now, normally, the civilians will fight back if you attack them. They'll whip out rifles and shotguns to return fire. However, if you play on easy mode, every enemy's weapon will be replaced with a shovel. Now, at first glance, this is pretty insulting because the game doesn't even let the enemies fight back. But then again, this actually makes the game way harder because when nobody has guns, that means you don't have extra ammo. So, the easy mode in Postal 2 is actually weirdly harder than the harder difficulties. Honestly, in a game as weird as this one, it actually sounds perfectly in character if you ask me. Now we've reached number 5. The entire Wolfenstein series. It's one of the granddaddies of first-person shooters. In fact, Wolfenstein 3D is often considered the first true FPS game ever made. Now, Wolfenstein is all about being the ultimate boss and taking down hundreds of enemies along the way without breaking a sweat. It's kind of a tradition to poke fun at the lower difficulty levels. Ever since the return to Castle Wolfenstein, the lowest difficulty level has always been kind of an insulting name. First, it was called Don't Hurt Me. Then in 2009, the lowest difficulty was renamed Can I Play Daddy? And that's the one that the Bethesda rebooted universe also uses. The Wolfenstein games certainly aren't easy, but the lowest difficulties are almost impossible to fail, making the joke names even more appropriate. After all, Wolfenstein isn't a game that's meant to be played on the easiest difficulty, people. It's not. And neither is this next one. Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. We've got more granddaddies of shooters. The Doom series has always prided itself on fast-paced action and punishing combat. And one of the main parts of the Doom game is getting to know your surroundings, your weapons, and enemy types so you will be better prepared as Doom Guy in the coming fights. No Doom game is easy, but the rebooted Doom series does its best to poke fun at people who take the easiest route. The lowest difficulty level in both games is called I'm Too Young to Die, and it's almost insultingly easy. The enemies deal less damage, they have less health, and are way less aggressive than what you would expect. Now, games like Doom and Wolfenstein are meant to be played on higher difficulties. That's the point. You struggle, you die, you adapt, you overcome. If you can't keep up, it's probably best to find a different FPS game. At number 3, let's go way back. Twisted Metal 2. Now, what would you do if a video game straight up called you a loser? Well, here you go. Released in '96 for the original PlayStation, Twisted Metal 2 was a vehicular combat game, and it was awesome, and many consider it to be the best in the series. Now, the game is basically a giant demolition derby with a loose story going on in the background, but let's be real. Nobody was paying attention to the story. You were just going from level to level trying to blow everybody up. However, if you were playing on easy mode, the game wasn't going to let you go very far. If you chose this mode, you could only play the first level. Seriously, you play the first level, you beat the first boss, and then a big stop sign pops up on the screen that says no losers allowed beyond this point. You then have to go back to the main menu, start the game all over on a higher difficulty. I mean, I'm all for the developers committing to a harder game design, but was this one a little extreme? You let me know. At number 2, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Released in '97. It was a third-person shooter that was honestly pretty cool and a tad ahead of its time in turn of level design and vehicle sections, if you ask me. It took place between episodes 5 and 6, had you playing as a mercenary hired by Luke Skywalker to go save Princess Leia from an evil prince. Why Luke wouldn't do it himself, I don't know. It's pretty fun, it was pretty cool, it was an adventure, and it's still available on Steam if you want to give it a go, but make sure you don't play on easy mode because you'll run into a pretty stupid roadblock. If you play Shadows of the Empire on easy mode and you get to the very end, the game will cut you off and go to the credits. No final cutscene, no conclusion to the story. You just go from the final boss to the credits. You don't know if your character lives, you don't know if you save the day, you don't know if Luke says anything cool. The game literally just ends and forces you to play it again on a higher difficulty. But at number 1 today, the game that mocked you the most, Streets of Rage 3. Now, there's nothing like an easy mode that literally doesn't let you finish a game. Streets of Rage 3 was released in '94 for the Sega Genesis. It was a fan favorite, just like the other games in this series. Side-scrolling beat-em-ups definitely aren't easy, but if you played on the easiest difficulty, the game wasn't going to be happy with you. When you got to the end of the stage, or I think at the end of stage 5 on easy mode, you would get a bonus encounter with Robot X, who would taunt you. He would tell you, you play like a beginner. And then he would kick you all the way back to the main menu. Now, in case you didn't know, Streets of Rage 3 had 7 stages, so if you were playing on easy mode, you literally couldn't play the last 2 stages of the game. It's a fun game, and while 2 may be the best of the series, it's worth a playthrough. It is. Just be sure you're playing on normal difficulty or higher, because otherwise you're going to probably get pissed off at the end of the game. And there you have it, my friends. Those are games that laughed at you. They mocked you because you weren't good enough. Let me know if there's another game that deserved to be on this list, and I'll see you soon.